Hello my friends, do not adjust your television screens. I, Simon Miller. This is Ups and Downs for AEW Dynamite, but I'm downstairs in my house because for some reason the power has been turned off. I rang the electric company, I said, why has the power been turned off? They were like, we don't know, but you should have been notified. It's gonna be off all day. That's all right because I have a little bit of power on my laptop and I have a little bit of power on my phone. So let's try and squeeze this in and get it edited. Otherwise we're all screwed. Not really, but thanks for joining as always. Now let's up those downs. For in some ways, it was a very strange episode of AEW Dynamite. So the reason it's got people talking, I do understand this, is that before the show, Tony Schiavone was like, oh, hi, do I have a great announcement for you? We have a brand new championship, and it's called the national title, and it's going to start being defended at Full Gear when essentially we have a casino battle royale to crown the first ever champion. I was like, wait a minute. One, this has come from nowhere, it like teleported in from the Starship Enterprise, but also, I thought that's what the international title was for, because we mentioned CMLL, we mentioned New Japan, I suppose we mentioned Ring of Honor. It could go here, there, and everywhere, but even outside of that, you can do that with any title. Like if the AEW World Championship was at, I don't know, Fantastica Mania, that's not how you pronounce that show, nobody would be too surprised. One of the coolest things about AEW is the Forbidden Door, and you can go here, there, and everywhere, and you can defend your championships. And also, yes, there was no build. Like, personally, I think all wrestling promotions in the modern age have way too many titles. That doesn't mean that you can't add more, but you just want to make sure when you do add them, has some hype behind it. But because there was no hype, it feels like when we do crown our first winner, now you're going to have to create the hype. Also, as I continue on my rant, we are still waiting to crown the first ever women's tag team championships. So if you want to put a bright light on something, it should probably be that. You know? And I could be totally wrong as always, I so often am, but I am going to give it a down. I mean, it just kind of felt like a missed opportunity, but also feels like an opportunity we do not need. Now we have to wait and see. Maybe somebody massive wins this belt. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But it's the opposite of less is more. It's more is more. And when you do have more is more, well, it feels less. And that was basically wrestling poetry. I am going to give it a down. I just don't think we need it. Thankfully though, Samoa Joe and the Opportunities thing came to the ring because of course Tony Schiavone was there and Samoa's like, yeah, you know that little skit you did last week with Hangman Adam Page? I don't like you, so now you must die. And the commentators were so surprised about this. I was like, he is being a fair man. I mean, Samoa Joe has gone insane, but quite clearly Tony Schiavone must have known that Hangman Adam Page was going to dress up as him, otherwise you never would have got away with it in the first place. It's Scooby-Doo. Samoa and Powerhouse Hobbs were here as well and they were about to beat up Tony Schiavone when of course out came Hook, Eddie Kingston and Hangman Adam Page to make the save, because as we were going to learn, actually I think this has been announced already, our main event was going to be them in a 6-man tag. And after Hangman had gone, ha ha, Samoa Joe, I think you're a pile of crap, Hook took the mic and was like, oh man, you want to be a bunch of when? You should put those trios titles on the line. This is why Samoa Joe is one of the best wrestlers ever. He reacted to this like somebody had just stolen all the money from his bank account. You don't talk to me like that, you stupid child. If you want some gold to be on the line, you bet your ass. Honestly, Samoa Joe better go into all the Hall of Fames when it was said and done. The man is gold. We then got to confirm that the main event will be for the trios titles. And I was like, man, everybody's already forgotten about the brand new belt because we're talking about other ones. But actually there was a segment later to try and get you G'd up again. We'll get to that when we do get there, but I am going to give this an up. Hangman Adam Page is just great, and this Samoa Joe, well, I'm basically in love with him, and I was in love with him already. What? Up. Given that it is blood and guts next week as well, which is a very strange sentence, we need to decide who is going to have an advantage in the kind of war games, but not really cage match. So we were going to do a bunch of matches to find out. This one was Claudio Castagnoli versus Orange Cassidy, and my gosh, they have the best chemistry. They should be teaching science. This was so much damn fun to watch. Bravo. And Orange Cassidy did 2 dives straight away to take the man down to put a do on the dive counter, but otherwise, Claudio just like, rah, I'm so strong, and he kept picking the Orange up and throwing him around. At one point, he even threw him back into the ring. But I just thought you can't say Orange, because even though his name is Orange Cassidy, it's just going to make you think Castagnoli was picking up a piece of fruit and going, anyone could do that. You could give it to a toddler. Claudio did have to snap Cassidy's fingers so he was able to do the big swing. Brian Danielson on commentary was so good too, because he was like, listen, man, I don't think we talk about Claudio's Sagat uppercuts enough. Even if he hits you with a normal one, trust me, I've taken it. It feels like death, but when he really gets going and he does summon his Street Fighter powers, well, you better be careful. That's exactly what happened too, because Cassidy was able to get the orange punch, but then he went into a bunch of these big old Sagat uppercuts, and Claudio Castagnoli did pin him, and this is the way to do it, because we soon learned, oh my gosh, if the baby faces do not win their other matches, the heels are going to have the advantage in blood and guts. Or bag. Don't call it bag, it takes away the importance of it. I am going to give it an up. It was just such a damn good match. And also, these two guys, they do not get their flowers. Renee Paquette was then in the back with Mark Briscoe, Carl Fletcher and Don Callis because Mark had asked for some time. And Briscoe was like, you cannot possibly be happy that you defeated me by hitting me in the balls. That must feel quite unsatisfying, like kissing your sister. Looked around and I was like, I like you, Mark Briscoe. You're a very good babyface. I don't think you should have said that. Of course, up to this point as well, it's been Don Callis answering the question, and given that Carl Fletcher's face lit up like a Christmas tree, Don essentially said, oh my gosh, we're so turned on by all of this, so here's the deal. We will put the championship on the line at Full Gear. It will be a no DQ match. Actually, I think that's what Mark Briscoe picked, which is why Carl was excited, but when you do lose, you have to join the Don Callis family. Now, one, I do not want that to happen, and two, that is always the funniest wrestling stipulation. Who would enforce that? Imagine you went before a judge, they'd be like, you're wasting my time. Of course he doesn't have to join your family. Also, I've seen your family, and you've got like 79,862 members. How the flub are you gonna have Thanksgiving? Mark was also gonna have to leave the conglomeration for good. And I can't lie, it doesn't really feel like there's that much stakes to that one, because I like the conglomeration, but they kind of just hang out and play Nintendo. Renee was then on double duty as well because she was talking to the Young Bucks because they have been put in this match at Full Gear where the winner gets $1 million and they are going to team up with Josh Alexander to do this. Now, a lot of people on the internet are like, I can't believe Tony Khan is doing another money match. But when you hear things like this, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan is in the back laughing, going, this will be so much fun. It's such a stupid idea in the best possible way. And this is why I'm grateful that AEW does exist. A match for $1 million is totally perplexing and silly. But trust me, as a man who likes perplexing and silly, keep on filling me up. Nope, don't say it like that. Eventually, Don Callis walked in as well, and he was all like, oh man, did you get my care package? And I love you, and I want you to join my family too. I was like, Don, you gotta calm down. And quite understandably, Matt Jackson was like, this is all very overwhelming. Maybe everybody just needs to cool their jets. Which when the rest of the family came in, including Okada, and he was like, well, don't take too long, which was essentially a threat. That one did get me a little bit as well because, of course, they used to be friends, and I believe they are still friends, so what the flub has happened so they're no longer friends? Did I miss something? Properly. Was a bit strange, and I think all of this is heading to the Young Bucks rejoining Kenny Omega, and you may as well. They lost their EVP ship like, 6 months ago? Not that long, 4 months ago or so, which always meant they were going to baby that good guy. Totally fine with it. Well, we had a wonderful surprise, and we continued to take this women's tag team tournament and just make it like tournament jeopardy, whatever that means. But I tell you, I love it. So we was made to the first round. It was Mercedes, Mone and Athena taking on Willow, Nightingale and Harley Cameron. And every single person, as soon as they saw Mercedes and Athena had teamed up, like, well, they will make it all the way to the finals. No, they will not, my friend. They did lose. And I was like, hot damn, we are not in Kansas anymore, Toho. Now, they did kick Harley Cameron's ass for a while when Willow got the hot tag, and she had her working boots on tonight because she looked excellent. I think that eventually G'd up Harley as she took a med pack because she then tagged in. Once again, Brian Danielson on commentary, he talks like we talk on this show. He was like, I think Cameron should have done that. Her HP is clearly low. She has put herself back into the fight far too soon. I was like, I don't know whose decision it was to put the American Dragon on that booth, but it was a damn good one. Renee was then able to sneak up behind Harley and hit with a backstabber, which is when Athena started doing dives, but one on the counter. And this Athena, she then picked them both up and just threw them across the ring. It's like, seriously, she better not lose this match. Although by that point, you can kind of see it coming. Willow then got another hot tag, and she continued to run wild because she had all the MP, and she was going totally nuts. When we essentially went, you go, I go, we all go, and some of the 1-2 oohs. And because at this point, I still thought Mercedes and Athena were going to win. Well, I kind of bit, but I kind of didn't really. So more for me. This was especially true when Athena was able to hit the double code breaker that went right into the Mercedes with a statement maker. And that was a really good combo. But once again, everybody was there to break it up. I think they must have freaked out Padwan Billy Starks, so she ran down to give her mentor Athena the Ring of Honor title to use as a weapon, when Chris Statlander must have been stalking the situation because she was here and she was like, nope, I'm going to punch you right in the face. So she did. She also basically chased Mercedes Moné away, who was trying to be an idiot as well. And when Athena got that championship, she swung at Willow Nightingale. She totally missed. Nightingale hit the Babe with a powerbomb when Harley Cameron hit her finish and she pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. And I actually looked around this room and I was like, hot damn. For starters, the lighting's a bit weird. How am I going to record this video? But also, my gosh. Now, I actually would have had Mercedes taken the pin here because that would have been even bigger. But it all depends on what we're planning to do at Full Gear. Because if Chris Statlander is actually going to beat Mercedes, then it was perfectly fine to do this. However, on the flip side, if Mercedes Moné is going to win that title and beat Chris Statlander, then yeah, she could have taken the pin here when Chris Statlander kind of got involved, and it's just more fuel for the fire. Just a minor nerd point. I really did like this though because again it surprised me, and now this tournament, who the flub knows who's going to win? Like now I'd put my money on Harley and Nightingale, so you can feel a woman fuzzing your tum-tum, but all bets are off. I'm giving it an up. It was brave, man. Which is a stupid word to use when it comes to wrestling, and bless Athena, I'm just going to pretend that she came up with it. This is when we did get the announcement about the national championship, whatever the flub we're calling it, and that it's going to be crowned for the first time in a Casino Corner at the pay-per-view. And I think this is meant to tie into the NWA, because Tony Schiavone was like, it's the first time a title like this has been defended on TBS in 40 years. Just go on social media today. People that actually work for the NWA, they mad. Tony said that 2 people have entered this gauntlet as well, and it was the Hurt Syndicate. It's going to be Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. And Bryan Danielson went mad about this. He was like, oh yeah, give me some man-slapping man-meat stuff. And actually, now that I think about it, one of them probably should win. I mean, they're both great. MVP then put over the fact that it was kind of in the NWA. He mentioned Jack Briscoe, Dusty Rhodes, Woohoo McDaniel, when of course the demand interrupted, because this feud can never end. But Ricochet was all like, bah, because he makes that noise. I kind of respect you for doing what you are doing because you're a bunch of old guys, but if anyone's going to win that championship, it's going to be me. And this is when I kind of got into it, because I was like, if Bobby Lashley wins, great. If Shelton Benjamin wins, great. If Ricochet wins, great. And actually, I would have Ricochet win, then do a feud with Shelton Benjamin, because that would rule. But then I was like, there's a bunch of other titles they could do this for instead. So all in all, I'm going to give it a thumbs middle, because I need to see this play out, like in a year. Maybe it's the greatest championship in all of wrestling. But I'm massively unsure, and given that we gave it a down earlier, here I'll just, kind of walk the plank like I'm a pirate. I do like the demand, I do like that Hurt Syndicate, although I do think they probably need to go on to new things very soon. But I guess it's going to culminate here in one sense. I need more information. But I agree with you, dudes. It's very, very weird. The Jurassic Express then made sure to crap all over the Young Bucks because Jack Perry was like, you know what's more important than money? Friends. Well, he took a $100 bill and he said he was going to give it to the Young Bucks, and he stabbed it through a table. It's not often I get to say stab through a table. Luchasaurus was then going to take the money, and Jack Perry called him away. So I was like, okay, well, we've learned the dinosaurs have to pay their bills too, but this also means Luchasaurus doesn't speak English. Otherwise, Jack Perry would have told him the plan beforehand. He didn't, and he had to call him away like a pet. Let's move on. Because it was match 2 in the men's who was going to have the advantage blood and guts tournament, if that makes any sense. And it was also Darby Allin versus Daniel Garcia. I do have to give it a down. Because Daniel Garcia lost here, which on one hand is perfectly fine, but it actually ties into my pet peeve that we talked about time and time again. He only recently turned heel, and ever since he took his morals and kicked them out the window, he's like lost and lost. He hasn't really justified that he did turn to the dark side, and I think John Moxley agrees with this, because we saw him beforehand going, Daniel, you better win, you absolute goober. And now that he did get defeated, he's probably going through the paperwork saying, is he still on probation? Maybe we can get rid of him. Otherwise, they just kick the crap out of each other, and they did do some wrestling while also going after each other's ears, when essentially it became a Darby Allin match. And how much pain and suffering can he go through? He was being thrown into barricade, read the ring post, in by the steel steps. And at one point, Garcia was like squishing him between the two, like he wanted to die. And because the referee was so freaked out, saying, Dad, would you stop? Pac then appeared, and he totally murked Darby too. I was like, can we please just leave him alone? No, it didn't allow us to do a count-out tease, and I kind of feel like all of wrestling is doing that way too much recently. And surprise, surprise, Darby was bleeding from the head. I was like, well, yes, you would be. Somebody just tried to squid you. Danny then gave him some of the most horrible chops you've ever heard when he applied the Dragon Tamer, when I think mid-move he realised, this is the same as a Scorpion Deathlock, so I'm going to pretend to be Sting. I was like, Dan, that's not what you do. You can't insult Darby Allin's fake dad, and that hit like Darby's power button. He did reverse it. He applied the Scorpion Deathlock, and he got the tap-out victory. This must be the first time in years when somebody has stolen somebody else's move, but it's actually the same move. You just gave it a different name. This is why we need a sit-down interview with Bret Hart and Sting. I don't want to be that guy. It's going to set the comments off. I don't think there's a difference. Of course, the Death Riders and the conglomeration all ran out there to get involved because we had to let everybody know Blood and Guts is coming. And it looked like John Moxley was going to be the sole survivor here when Roderick Strong kneed him right in the face. You know the deal with John these days. He can't take any pain. You ran off. The only thing I didn't like is that Mark Briscoe wasn't there. And listen, the commentators did say, well, he's been dealing with Carl Fletcher. It's like, all he did was a backstage promo. He could have run out here. I am going to give that a mini down. Once again, I don't think this was a big deal at all. But I just kind of feel like if he is going to be involved with two feuds, and it is Mark Briscoe, a good way to get him super duper mega over is to just feature him in these kind of positions and be like, I can help you. I mean, that really doesn't matter. This was a stereotypical way to build Blood and Guts, but it makes all the sense in the world. And as for the match and all of that, I am going to give it an up. I mean, Darby Allin should probably be the dude to get the victor. We wait and see. FTR then came out to talk about the tag team titles, and this was such a good segment. Because at first they were like, listen, we should have won these in London, but we didn't because of Brodido, Bandido, Bambalamimbo. So why don't they come out here right now so we can talk about it? We then cut to Stokely Hathaway, who had quite clearly locked Bandido, Brodido, Bambalimbo in their locker room. They were smashing trying to get out, and Stokely was just yelling at Rennie Paquette, hey man, I'm watching The Wire on HBO Max, would you like to join me? As if none of this was happening. Instantly I was like, this is brilliant. Kirsten Daxon acted real sad, like, oh, can't believe this has happened, but oh hi, look, Bandido's grandma is in the audience, and of course she was on TV last week as well, and they just they were so horrible to her, essentially called her ancient and compared her to the Day of the Dead, which, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but they were basically saying, very soon, because you are a grandma, death awaits. Dax even started to act like he was going to adopt her as his new grandma, which is not a thing, when thankfully Nanny Bandit finally decided, you know what, I am going to slap you around the face, because I think both of them was going to kiss her on the cheek. They are such wonderful dickheads, man. Whoever decided to put them with Stokely and turn them heel, well, this has been an inspired choice. I thought they were great. Thank goodness nothing happened. They come back to Hathaway as well, who was still pretending to watch The Wire, and this ruled too, because like a horror movie, Brody King's hand just came smashing through the door and essentially tried to kill this man before they ran to the ring. And you have to imagine the scene, right? They're trapped in their locker room while a man pretends to watch The Wire as Bandido is seeing his family verbally insulted on TV. This is wrestling. Got even funnier as well because FTR then realised, well, we can't beat up a grandma really, even though we are terrible. So Gravity was there too, who is Bandito's brother, so they grabbed him and started to put the boots to him. And just when they were getting him a spiked pile driver, thankfully Brody King and Bandito were here and they chased the bad guys away. So this is just so damn simple because you have heels that are horrible, good guys that everybody loves, and Stokely Hathaway who will make you laugh in spite of yourself. I am going to give it an up. I hope we shine an even bigger spotlight onto this. I thought it was totally excellent. We then got a video for Blood and Guts directed by Dean Malenko, which I thought was cool when Toni Storm came to the ring, because she wanted to do commentary for the next match. At one point she said to everybody, maybe you should do announcing over my next orgy. I was like, yep. We have arrived and there's no going back. It was then Mina Shirakawa versus Megan Bayne 2 to find out who would have the advantage in the Blood and Guts match. I kind of feel like the way this was laid out in the post match, that probably we should have just had one Blood and Guts match this year, and it should have been the women's, but I don't book the show, so there's nothing I can do. Mina was having no mercy troubles here as well because she just couldn't get Megan Bayne down because she is so big. And actually that became the story of the match. Shirakawa would use her speed and every now and then she'd kind of get one in on Megan when Bayne would pick her up and just crush her. When it comes to Megan Bayne, I think AEW is slowly figuring this out. Her future may be bright. Sadly, Marina Shafir had woken up this morning and decided, I think I'll wait 10 minutes before I do interrupt. And because Tony was on commentary, she popped up and tried to strangle her, which like, I'm pretty sure that is a crime. And obviously Mina, who's in love with Toni Storm, and also a wrestler, she couldn't handle another wrestler on the outside of the ring being attacked when she was having a match in the ring, so she totally forgot. Bayne smacked her right in the head, gave her the running powerbomb, and beat her for the 1-2-3. The heels now almost have the advantage. Now, of course, we got the exact same aftermath as the men's 1-2, because out came the Triangle of Madness, and a bunch of other people were here as well. And when Mercedes Renee walked to the ring to get involved, she's so good, man. She just went, nah, I've thought better of it. When Chris Statlander turned up, she popped Mone right in the face, then ran in the ring to get involved. It ended with them all looking at each other, and listen, I am going to give the match an up because I enjoyed it. But this post-match, to repeat myself, was just too similar. I think, and this goes for WWE War Games as well, if you are going to have two of them, you have to make sure the stories and the narratives don't cross the streams. The Ghostbusters told us that, so I am going to give it a down. Now, it doesn't matter because both of these are going to be so damn good, and because it is the first one, the women, you just know they're going to hit a home run. But yeah, I thought there was a different way to do this, but we didn't. We went right into our main event after this as well, and of course it was Hook, Hangman Page and Eddie Kingston taking on Samoa Joe and his opportunities. Trios titles were on the line, I never really believed they could change hands. Although in many ways, this was kind of Samoa Joe and his boys just kicking ass. And given that Samoa Joe is probably going to lose to Hangman, it's what you needed to do. He was great as well because he pretended that he was going to fight Page when he tagged out, but that did mean we got Shibata versus Hangman Page, which you rarely see. And it was just so nice to see Eddie Kingston on Dynamite 2 and a Powerhouse Hobbs of being a monster, but at one point Hook gave him a suplex. This was just a fun old good time. And I enjoyed it. And we did make sure we told some stories here as well, because Hook got beaten up so badly at one point the doctors were checking on him. When Powerhouse Hobbs and Hangman and Page were fighting on the outside, honestly, this came from nowhere. William grabbed him and World's Strongest slammed the cowboy through a table. That's like, where did that come from? But of course it meant he was out, Hook was struggling, which means Eddie Kingston was now 3-on-1, and if anybody can sell that, it is Eddie Kingston, honestly, man. At one point he was ducking and diving, and looked like he was gonna do okay. We gotta do more with Edward. Hook, being the crazy person that he is, actually tagged Eddie in when he was getting beaten up, and that essentially signed his death warrant, because he stood there like, well, maybe I do have one last red rum in me, which he did do, but it totally failed. Because by this point, Powerhouse Hobbs didn't even need to take a Phoenix down. He got up on his own merit. He was back in the ring, and he put Hook in the torture rack, although AEW calls it a backbreaker. I think a torture rack is a much better name, and Hook had to tap out. And that made me stroke my beard, because like, wait a minute, that's 2 weeks on the trot that Hook's tapped out. Two people that he does see as his enemies. I am intrigued. We also found out that it's going to be Hangman versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match next week, which is the Blood and Guts show, so that thing should be really good. And it ended with Samoa Joe holding his trios title, being like, Hangman and a Page. He doesn't talk like that. I'm coming for you. So once again, goes back to what we just said. It was all about establishing Samoa Joe as a crazy threat. We did the job. I'm giving it an up. Like, it really was a pretty good damn main event. I like the fact that Powerhouse Hobbs is getting his as well. He deserves a mega push one day. No idea what we're doing with Hook, and my gosh, do I need that Eddie Kingston promo on Dynamite soon. But it was a good show. It was a decent show. This national championship is so damn weird. But Blood and Guts is next week. You know that everybody's going to enjoy that, even though it will be disgusting. Giving it up. Now, of course, please do drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's AEW Dynamite, the goods, the bads, the ups and downs, the whatevers and whatevers. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Video on the screen is ups and downs for Monday Night Raw. Apologise for this setting, but we do what we can. Hopefully my power comes back on soon. I'd like to make myself some lunch or breakfast. Lunch, it's like 7 in the morning. I've gone totally nuts. See you soon.